With so much anticipation for this one and the start of the season in general, not the way you really wanted to start off the campaign, a clunker to the Milwaukee Bucks as the Sixers fall 124-109. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast, presented by our good friends from Rothman Orthopedics and Bet365. Rich Hofmann, Devon Givens, Brianna, all of you in the chat. Folks, get in there. Let us know what you thought.
Maybe whatever you think. Vent some more. Keep going.
Give it to us, right? Just give it to us. We'll be joined by the guys from the arena a little bit later after their post-game press conferences, after they speak to the players and the coaches. And let's talk about this one, Rich, because 124-109, and that's a 15-point loss. It seemed like it was even more than that.
Yeah, it was like a 20-point loss.
As you watched it. So we're not going to say it wasn't even that close, because 15 and 20, not that wide of a gap, but that one wasn't, it never felt like after the first quarter, and while they did trail by 9 or 11 at the break, once the third quarter hit and Damian Lillard got hot, that was it. And defensive lapses, some mistakes there, so many things. Look, we'll get to our player of the game. We have a few other things that we're going to start to implement into our post-game coverage. We'll have that for you later, but your initial thoughts of this one, as this one got away from the Sixers and got away pretty quickly.
Well, on the pregame show, shout out to everybody who listened to the pregame show, I said they probably were going to lose tonight. And
I agreed with you.
Yeah, you did. And that's exactly how this played out. Obviously, you got a nice little choppy first quarter where, the Sixers were fighting. They fought, but I think the key to the game here, Devon, is just, I thought in those middle two quarters, I think the Bucks had 78 points in those quarters, and I thought they did an awesome job of leveraging Giannis and Dame and getting them into their sweet spots and then making threes around them too. Yep. And the Sixers they did not have that firepower. Unfortunately, their firepower was sitting on the bench. At least two-thirds of their firepower was sitting on the bench. Mm-hmm. I guess here's a question I have for you off the top. Did that feel a little bit like last year to you when Embiid was out, where they just did not have the same level of firepower? I know that the players are different, but just the main top line takeaway being it's pretty hard for these guys to score.
Yes, especially when they, to another point that you talk about leveraging those two stars, the star on the Sixers side, who we highlighted in the pregame show about what he needed to do. And we'll get to his overall performance, but Tyrese Maxey, we talked about how they're going to try to make it difficult, get the ball out of his hands, send those double teams, and see how he reacts to those. And when you look at the line of team best 25 points, okay, great. That's the right amount of his average of a season ago. But if you also watched the game and you saw how many shots he had to get up to get to those 25 points, how difficult it was for him, giving a lot of credit individually, we did while watching, to Gary Trent Jr. for the job that he did by sliding his feet, staying with Tyrese Maxey. Nice, he really struggled tonight. So when you combine that being a pregame thing that we talked about, I watched a video between he and Michael Wilbon pregame, Tyrese Maxey, and learning from the problems that he had. He said it was good, although you don't want to see your teammate down. It was good for him. Again, we heard this last season, for him to get that type of experience of being the lead guy, how the defense is going to throw different looks at him, being the one that's the number 1, 2, 3 option on the whiteboard before the game, and how he reacts to that. Well, it happened again tonight, and we thought that while he should have gotten more foul attempts, free throw line visits for Tyrese Maxey, we also felt like he rushed and forced some shots there tonight. So a combination of, to your point, things looking the same, we thought, hey, let's see how this looks differently than from last year where he struggled, and it looked kind of the same. It looked a lot of the same.
It looked the same. And look, asking Tyrese Maxey to carry that group is a hard ask. Like, I think we need to say that off the top. Like,
can I add this too? When we talk about George and Embiid being down, you do have 2 of their all-stars on the other side, with their third being down.
Yep.
So at least they had those 2 to work off of.
Yeah.
They've played together a lot. When you look at Lopez and Bobby Portis, you have to implement Taurean Prince and Gary Trent Jr. into the mix of them. And you're asking those guys to just simply knock down open shots, not create, where you're now asking Caleb Martin, Kelly Oubre, Kyle Lowry, Yabusele. Yeah. Everybody is trying to find a way to create. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and it's a tough ask. It's one of those things where we talked about it. I think in the first quarter, I think he took 2 threes on consecutive possessions, and he passed up probably the best look of the sequence, just because I think he kind of wanted to get other people involved. And we said you got to keep shooting. But here's the thing: like, he did not take great shots tonight. I think he was, what was he, like 0 for 9 attacking Brook Lopez, and I know. We can get into the arguments of does he get the foul calls or not. And we could talk about that a little bit. Obviously, the one that they highlighted on ESPN where he made that circus finish, he should have gotten an N1. And that was a big swing for the Sixers, right? I think they probably would have cut it to 11. Giannis comes down and gets a 3-point play because Tyrese is in the first row. It's one of those things. Obviously, Sixers did not lose this game because of the refs tonight, man. They just were outmanned. Anyway, this was an opportunity for him. And he struggled a little bit, right? Like, the shot selection was not great. Like you said, Gary Trent, they tried to get him off the ball to start, and Gary Trent was making it hard for him to get the ball back. Attacking Brook Lopez, like, he just was off balance with some of those looks. There was a couple nice moves where he used some footwork in the paint. But, like, look, it's a tough job for him to keep this offense afloat. But we can say that he left a lot to be desired tonight. And that's okay. That's okay. Hopefully in a few days here, he'll get Joel Embiid and Paul George back, so we won't have to do this again. But, hopefully if he gets another shot at this, he's a little more efficient. He picks his spots better, all of those things. Because, look, the game boils down to the Bucks. They're 2 star players. In fairness, they're 2 star players. Did a great job of leveraging their skills, right? When the Sixers doubled, they found guys for open threes. Man, Taurean Prince, I'm stunned he missed a shot, but he was great. He was knocking down open looks. And the Sixers were not able to leverage their one all-star elite player. And that's okay. But that's what happened tonight.
Yeah, so Tyrese Maxey tonight, again, 25 points on the night to lead the Sixers in scoring. He was 10 for 31 from the floor, 2 for 9 from deep, and he only got to the free throw line twice, making 3 of his 4 free throw attempts. Probably should have gotten there about 2 or 3 more times.
I think that's fair.
But again, it's also because of his speed. It's deceptive, not deceptive because of speed. We already know how fast he is, but it's how the officials are going to call those fouls for him. Because even with his speed, a lot of times he's going so fast, you get the contact by maybe slowing up a little bit, taking the foot off the gas, taking it off of the 100 and dropping it down to about 95, 94. And that contact you absorb, now the official has to call it. But when you're going so fast, oftentimes your speed takes you away from the body, the contact of the defender. Therefore, you're left with hoping that you get a nice touch off the glass and banking it in to the basket for the 2 points. And then maybe, hopefully, again, just praying that the officials give you the whistle. So those are the things that he has talked about. The coaching staff, just talking to a few of them. Off the record, just more of, I don't think that it's something that they mind, because again, he's talked about this, that they want him to be able to not only do that, but Rich also jump off of 2 feet instead of the 1, where he does, again, force them to make a decision defensively of if they're going to leave their feet and try to get after him because he's so quick off of the jump, and make them, crash into him to get to the free throw line. So it's something that he has to continue to learn. To your point, this is one game, 10 for 31. He had 25 points. He's going to continue to learn this because he's going to keep seeing these type of coverages because Embiid and George are going to miss games. Even the next one against the Toronto Raptors, who they should still beat that basketball team. They're bad. He's going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to find ways to free him open for some better looks.
He's going to have to learn from Damian Lillard the dark arts of foul drawing, right?
Yes.
That's like Dame, he just has... And by the way, I hate that I have to say this about NBA basketball. I kind of wish everybody was officiated the same way, and grifty fouls were not called. Even when Joel does it, were not called and given to the offensive player. But Dame he does a really good job of just like sensing a little bit of contact, a guy right on his hip, embellishing the contact. I mean, I think he shot 6 free throws tonight on that. So, like, look, that's something that Tyrese is going to have to get better at. He's also going to have to get better at being a playmaker, right? There were a couple times where I think one of the plays in the fourth quarter, it ended in a Kelly Oubre 3 at the top of the key. And it all started with Tyrese getting that pick and roll, getting all the way to the rim with Brook Lopez, but then making that kick to the corner to set up, get the Bucks in rotation and set up a three. And it really hit me. I was like, man, we probably should have seen a few more of those tonight. Now, in fairness, his teammates can't make a three.
They cannot.
I'm not putting this all on him, right? Like, this is not all his fault. They are a very limited offensive team. Even in the first quarter, when they were fighting, I was like, man, this is like a lot of like Caleb Martin with 3 seconds left on the shot clock.
Yes.
And I think, as Kyle pointed out, I think that's a big reason that Kyle Lowry played a bunch of minutes tonight. Anyway, I think my big picture takeaway here is that if Joel and Paul George are out, like, I think it might be a struggle this year. And that's not the bar that this team is trying to clear. They're trying to get as healthy as they can in April and try to be the best postseason team as possible. But yeah, that felt a little bit like last season. And I guess we could get into the individual performances because there were some interesting things going on there.
Yeah, tonight, even with some of the things that we just talked about in general with Tyrese Maxey, it starts and goes with him. You can win games, of course, with Tyrese Maxey. We saw that. The problem was they had to work too hard. Now, the other piece of this too, Rich, is they were playing a playoff team. We know who this team is. We know how good this team is. We're talking about an MVP on the other side, along with a multiple-time All-Star who has been a first-team, second-team, all-NBA level player. Had a rough go of it a year ago. And look, he had a great start to the season last year against the Sixers where he dropped 30-plus in their home opener against the Sixers last season. So we'll see how things play out. But they are an experienced team. They know how to play. They've been playing with one another for a full season. When you add Damian Lillard to that piece and you're shorthanded on the other end, you can see where, as close as they were in the first quarter, how things can get away, especially when they make the adjustments that Rich talked about of simply riding both Lillard and Antetokounmpo on that end because they could. Yeah. They know how to do that. You don't even have to play with each other for a very long time to simply implement basic basketball and exploit it and make it work. And that's what they did. They, though, on the other end, the Sixers had to work entirely too hard. Yeah. Too hard because they played good defense collectively. They got caught because we're talking about two Hall of Famers. But overall, they fought. They gave some good energy. They had some good effort. But when you miss your shots and you're exerting so much energy with 5 seconds to go on the shot clock and trying to get a avoided 24-second shot clock violation, on the other end, as good an effort as you're going to get, sometimes your head is going to turn and you're going to get caught looking into the backcourt because of this. And now you're going to sneak in for a quick layup, 2 possessions in a row where the Sixers did a good job of getting them to pick up their dribble and have to pivot and turn away from the strong side, turn weak side, and make a pass because the guy made a good cut to the basket for an easy bucket. Taurean Prince, Damian Lillard, 2 of those recipients of that for that type of basket. So those things are going to go against you, but you cannot work as hard as they did on the offensive end to get buckets and expect to win a game against a team like the Milwaukee Bucks, who we've been talking about. As much as we've been hammering them, they could still be a top 5, top 4 team in the Eastern Conference because of the talent that they do have.
It's funny. Everybody in the chat is, projecting win totals right now based on
I'm not going that
game. We're not going that far. Is Orlando going to be better than this? It's all right, guys. It's all right. We got a long season.
That was Kyle's surprise pick that they could finish in the top 3 with Boston and New York in the top 2.
Well, based on one game, I think they can. But I'm not going to base too many things on one game. To your point on just how much easier it was for Milwaukee, they ran 2 plays in the second half, late first half too, that just absolutely destroyed the Sixers. And look, this is Doc Rivers' MO. Like when a play works, he calls it feed the pig. He's just going to keep. I don't exactly know why he calls it feed the pig, but that's stuck in my brain. That's exactly what he calls it.
And don't play with your food.
Yeah,
or the meat, as he said.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
right. Anyway, feed the pig. Just keep running the play over and over again. And there were 2 plays. They just kept giving the ball to Giannis at the right elbow. And, I think as we said in the pregame, the Sixers they had nobody who could guard him. So a lot of times they were doubling him. And that's where those Taurean Prince threes come. There were some back cuts. A couple times they single covered him. Well, they ended up as N1s. It was a really big struggle. And then, the classic Damian Lillard play is you just set a ball screen for him 40 feet from the hoop, because that's just a really tough ask for your big. I mean, obviously it's a tough ask for the guy trailing and trying to get around the screen. But when Brook Lopez sets that screen, I felt like it was Yabusele a lot, where it's like, do I get out all the way to 35 feet? Because, if he pulls up from, I guess it wasn't 35, but 30 feet or whatever. Yeah. So, getting into that spot where he can pull from deep. If I jump up too far, well, I'm just going to let him walk to the basket for a layup. I actually think the Sixers probably could have challenged him a bit more just because, 5 years ago, I didn't really know what you could do with Dame. I'd like to see him finish around the rim a little bit more. But look, he got into those deep threes and he drilled a lot of them. So credit to him for that. But, that type of offense was not available to the Sixers. And, it was just kind of it wasn't remarkable. It might have been obvious.
We've seen it
just
before.
Considering those guys. But I think it was very apparent that they were getting their points just so much easier.
Yeah, less work. Less is more, right? And the more came the points that the Sixers could not stop. Damian Lillard, game best, 30 points on 9 of 19. He was 6 for 12 from 3. He dropped 15 in the third quarter, 4 for 4 from beyond the three-point line, or 4 for 5 from the three-point line. He was really, really good out of the locker room, and they could not stop it. And as you say that, the Yabusele part definitely stands out. There was one more, Caleb Martin, who was in there. And I thought he did a really good job. He was with Yabusele, but he did a really good job of getting around the Brook Lopez screen very, very quickly. But he spun to pivot to beat Damian Lillard to the spot to get over the screen. But Lillard was smart enough, especially with Yabusele. He's still trying to figure out the coverage after being away from the NBA for so long. Figuring out that coverage, how to get around Brook Lopez in that spot. How far does he get up? And what Damian Lillard, what does he do? Just goes to the opposite side and has enough space where you can't leave it for him to knock down the shot the way that he does and the way that he did tonight. Again, he was fantastic, especially in that third quarter with that 15, and he really set the tone for the Milwaukee Bucks after Giannis got things going a little bit early. So
that's the difference between Europe and the NBA. Europe is a much more physical game. They move the ball probably a little bit better, but you don't have to cover guys 35 feet from the hoop in Europe like Dame Lillard. So a bit of a lesson, a bit of a welcome back to the NBA lesson for Yabu, who I actually thought did some nice things.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what? We'll talk about Yabusele and more with the Sixers, good and bad in this one. Sixers fall 124-109. We'll come back. We'll get into a few of those other things right here on the postgame show, right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Well, maybe you were excited about this season getting underway and you decided, I got to make some wagers, folks. We did some pregame picks, some Bet365 picks with our team here. Never ordinary. We're still in preseason mode. I think only 2 of our 4 hit, and we got to get better. We will get better, but we'll get better right here by not abandoning and leaving our good friends at Bet365. Never ordinary is the motto, and that's how we're going to keep it going. 90 million users worldwide, live streams of 780,000 events each year across all sports, especially the NHL, NFL, NBA, MLB. Today, Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. So if you're feeling good while we're talking and you're watching the show right now, let me fix my bets from the Philadelphia-Milwaukee game. You got some late games starting tonight in the association. Jump right in. Go ahead at Bet365. And when you do, if you're new to Bet365, right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Use code PHLY365 to sign up. Deposit $10. Place a bet for $5 to get $200 in those bonus bets. And those bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and much more. So when you do that, make sure that you do it responsibly. Download, again, the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And Devon, I am here to tell you about Empire Today, who can help you with all of your carpeting and flooring needs. You can use EmpireToday.com/PHLY for $350 off new floors. And with Empire Today, you get to shop for home convenience, the right product for your needs. They have quick and professional installation and a price match guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, there are going to be some copycats out there, but they cannot beat Empire Today on quality, service, and speed. So just be aware of those. Empire Today, their philosophy is to help you find what you need and not overwhelm you with thousands of different options for floors and carpets and all those things. The way they say it is what they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. So shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to someone who's working on plumbing, the next hour, right? Empire Today is all about flooring. They live and breathe it. So you can be confident that you are getting good, honest, upfront advice. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code PHLY. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHLY for details.
All right, welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast. Rich Hofmann, Devon Gibbons, presented by Rothman Orthopedics and Bet365 here on the postgame show. And while they did lose by 15 tonight, and there were a lot of bad takeaways from this one, you mentioned Gershon Yabusele, and we talked about him getting caught on those bad spots. But overall, you felt like he was pretty good tonight in his debut.
I mean, I think Yabu's positives are the positives we take away for the entire team is that they played hard. Like, I don't think they played smart. They didn't shoot the ball great, but they played hard, right? This wasn't like an effort loss. I frankly, like, he was on the floor a couple times in the first quarter, right? And that was impressive to see. They gave him a little bit of run at the 4 and the 5. He was primarily the backup 5, I think. But when he first checked into the game, he came in alongside Drum. Look, I think he would probably have been the best body to throw against Giannis, but look, he got put in foul trouble, and that's a tough assignment. Like, coming over from Europe and saying, okay, you got to guard Damian Lillard in space, and you got to guard Giannis Antetokounmpo one-on-one. That's tough, man. That's tough. And I thought it was an imperfect game for him, but he battled. And the one major positive takeaway, and the one thing that is different from last year, Devon, and we were talking about this during the game, they hit the glass, man.
Yeah, they did.
They hit the glass. They might be a team. And obviously, look, we're drawing this conclusion based on 48 minutes of basketball. And look, the Bucks played really well today. Their skill level is very high. They can shoot it. They're not a great rebounding team. Giannis had a couple of super pathetic rebounding possessions, but you had Caleb Martin crashing in from the corner and creating extra possessions. You had KJ Martin doing that. The Martin brothers getting offensive rebounds. You had Yabu just relentlessly crashing the glass in a way that it kind of felt like early on you were watching the Knicks from last year and the Bucks were the Sixers. They really didn't want to grab offensive rebounds. And look, they needed those to even stay in remotely within, striking range of the Bucks, because they just weren't making any threes at all. But anyway, I like the athleticism. I like the grit. They're going to have to clean some things up on the defensive end in terms of communication and all those things. And they're going to have to make a shot, which is unfortunately, it is a make or miss league. Doc was in the building tonight, the man who coined that phrase. But yeah, I thought Yabu played hard, and I'm interested to see more from him.
Yeah, and it was nice to see him playing alongside Andre Drummond in the first quarter a little bit, mix it up, show that look a little bit more with the 4 spot. But we also talked about, while you can experiment with that, the one problem that you could run into is, will they get in foul trouble? Because Giannis is Giannis, and you don't want to have Andre Drummond in foul trouble, so you have to rely on some of these others. Who are you going to start off defending with? And as we saw, KJ Martin got a look, Kelly Oubre got a look, but they got a foul on Giannis just like that. And it was KJ Martin, who didn't play a lot. He got the start, didn't play a lot, but did provide a lot of good energy for the time that he was in there. That said, you knew that it was going to be primarily a 5-man run for Yabusele, just because of, once again, there was no way you were going to have him and Drummond out there at the same time, and you weren't going to trust the rookie Adembona to come in there and try to give some minutes at the 5, because they would just hunt him down. He's already overly aggressive with the scouting report coming from UCLA in the draft. Yeah. And if you put him out there against a veteran front court like that and a veteran guard in Damian Lillard, he's going to pick up a quick 3 in about 1:20, or however many times he runs back on the defensive end. Heck, he might even get one trying to set a screen on the offensive end to pick up a foul. So you couldn't do it. So it was fun to see the 4-5 tandem of Yabusele and Drummond in the first, but you knew it wouldn't last. That said, Yabusele showed that he could slide his feet a little bit more against this type of speed of Giannis. He showed some good things there. He put his body out there. We were talking about him. The guy's huge. He's a big dude. So as long as he boxes out what he lacks in leaping ability to snag a rebound, he'll at least force them to make a call, the officials, because the defensive player or the offensive player has to go over his back to try to secure an offensive rebound. And that's one thing that he has. He knows how to position himself, get to those loose balls, get the normal rebound as he boxes out, and move his feet in general. So I thought he did a pretty good job on that. I thought the pick and pop situations, the rolling that he did, I thought they were good. It was just a matter of when he caught it, where he caught it, and could he get a shot off, a decent shot off, without that length in front of him of Brook Lopez or Giannis. And even Bobby Porter's not a great defender, but a smart defender, smart player with how he does it. So that's why we saw more of Yabusele popping out to the three-point line. And while he did not hoist every three-pointer when he did receive the basketball behind the three-point line,
1 of 4.
He had to make a decision whether he was going to continue to take those or put the ball on the floor. And he didn't look all that great, but he did what they asked, which was shoot them if you're open and give yourself a chance of knocking those down. And there was a sequence that we'll get into later where we were just like, oof, that's not it. And we'll talk about all that a little bit later. But overall, not that we're grading on in a letter grade for these players, but if I had to give him a grade for this one for his debut, I would give him a solid B for how he worked out overall. No minus, no plus, just a simple B for what Yabusele did tonight.
Al, the 2-minute warning, brought up.
What up, Al?
In the chat that the Sixers only had 10 turnovers as well. And if you look at the box score, I mean,
they should have had more.
They won the possession battle by a lot tonight, man. They took 18 more shots than the Bucks, and the Bucks only took 4 more free throws too. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to get blown out by that much when you are winning the shot battle, or when you're winning the possession battle by that much. But like, look, the Bucks were on fire. They were creating better shots, and,
they were.
Like, it wasn't just that they were making tough shots; they were creating better shots. I would say for better players as well. But that goes to show, right? It comes down to the shooting battle. So. Yeah. Yeah, look, I thought Yabu was good. I'd like to see more of him. It felt like Maxey a few times didn't completely trust him on the pick and pop. Yeah. Like the way they would have been able to unlock the offense is if they kept running pick and rolls for Maxey, Yabu popping, and he made enough shots because Brook Lopez was like, he just didn't care.
You always talk about it, the drop coverage. Yeah. I'm going to leave him. If he's going to make them, then I'll have to defend. Until he makes them, I don't have to defend.
And Brook Lopez, I know he's old and he's probably an injury risk at some point, but man, he's spectacular in terms of just getting straight up. I know he makes a couple fouls, but man, Maxey had absolutely nothing for him. And just in terms of figuring out how to attack him. And I don't know what the right answer is. Honestly, Devon, the right answer might be when he's in that deep of a drop is just get off the ball and, maybe try and run off a screen or something like that. But he really struggled to finish around him. And my hope for Yabu is that he can become kind of that pick and pop stretch 5. But we did not see, he took a couple. He took the ones he should have tonight. But it would be nice if they were able to kind of weaponize him in that regard, because then he becomes playable.
Not breaking any news here. They missed their 2 players in Joel Embiid and Paul George. I wonder though, Rich, as we saw it, should they have adjusted and gotten back to the more of the patented Embiid Maxey pick and pop, where get what's good and available to you because of the drop the way that it is. Knock down the 15 to 17 footer first.
You think that's Maxey?
I think it's more of, did they trust it to call it a little bit closer than keep it out so far away from the basket?
You think Yabu getting into the 15?
I wonder if they could have said, you know what, let's adjust and see if it works first.
Okay.
Call that one a little bit closer inside the 3-point line a little bit and see if it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You can't do it with Drummond, but you can do it with Yabusele because he is a much better shooter. And with Drummond, of course, you have to get him much closer to the basket where it's a gather dribble and go up and finish, or maybe the shot put floater that he likes to do, the push shot, or maybe a drop step and finish because it was a perfect pass from Tyrese Maxey. That's why I'm asking if Yabusele is a little tentative in taking that shot every time they leave him, because to your point, go ahead, my man, knock it down. Prove it to me that you can make it.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? You know what? here's our adjustment. We're going to move it in a little bit closer. And therefore, if you do start to make it, guess what? The driving lane might be a little better for Tyrese Maxey. And he's not facing that big, smart defender who's only going to go up and not bring his hands down to commit a foul.
And to add on to your point, I know this is obvious, but even though Joel Embiid he struggled at times against Brook Lopez gives him more trouble than most players in the league. I mean, most players give him zero trouble. Brook Lopez has had some very good defensive games against him, but man, you needed him to just be able to roll to that 15 foot. Because then it's like you said, either Brook Lopez has a decision. He can either get out to Joel Embiid, or Tyrese Maxey might have a step on him on some of those drives because he's worried about the pocket pass, because Joel is automatic from that 15-foot range. So, if we're going with overarching takes, Joel Embiid and Paul George, they're pretty big.
They were missed.
Yeah,
they were missed tonight in this particular one.
Wait, we were talking about how Joel is sitting on the end of the bench.
Yeah,
and who was it? Justin Edwards and who else was?
Edwards
Bona.
and Bona were behind the bench.
Man, they played in that game tonight.
You got 17, man.
And they were sitting on the second row?
Or 18 or whatever it is. Yeah.
That's rough.
The two-way guys got to go in the back. And the veteran two-way guy gets a spot on the bench. And that was Jeff Doughton.
I just find it hilarious, man. You got to sit with like the secondary coaches and sit in the back. Could they see what was going on back there?
Not behind Joel, who's sitting on the pad. These guys are making
millions of dollars.
Right? Joel's sitting on the pad. The cushion that always lifts you up a little bit higher, the Phil Jackson cushion that became so popular in today's game. We'll get to our super chat from Devon in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break. We come right back, and we'll get back into some more things. We got to pick it apart. It's just one game, but we saw some things, and we need to discuss it right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. All right, and got to tell you about, the holidays are coming up. We're not too far. Well, whether it's you trying to buy some tickets for your folks for the holiday, a birthday, whatever it may be, you're trying to save some money for the holidays, and you want to make sure you square those away right now, we have the place for you, the great financial institution that is TrueMark Financial. And TrueMark Financial, right now, they have a rewards Visa credit card that you could benefit from for the things that we're talking about. Earn rewards for each purchase using TrueMark Financial's rewards Visa credit card and redeem them for travel and retail gift cards. So maybe you want to hand out the gift cards as a gift for your loved ones. Build credit through timely payments and low credit utilization. Enjoy fraud protection with features like zero liability. Some other options that they do have, some savings options: traditional savings account, basic savings account, accounting, offering a place to deposit funds, earn interest, and withdraw money as needed. They also have money market accounts and certificates for you to take a look at when you do sign up to become a member at TrueMark Financial's great institution. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender. For more information, visit truemark.com/PHLY.
And Devon, I'm about to talk about some people you know very well.
Yes.
The people at Rothman Orthopedics.
Yes.
Everyone has a specialty they love. For some, it's running or gardening. For others, like you, it's shooting hoops and crossing up a defender. Used to be me too, but I don't know.
Both of us. I'm just the one that get banged up. That's all.
Yeah, and I'm too slow now to play. At Rothman Orthopedics, their physicians are not only specialized in orthopedics and clinical research, but they are fellowship trained to treat specific areas of the body. Since 1970, their physicians have remained committed to research, innovation, and minimally invasive procedures to get you back to what you specialize in. Devon, the two great things about Rothman: whatever you're dealing with, if it's the Achilles like you, if it's your shoulder, they have somebody who only deals in that part of the body. And the other great thing, they got locations all over the Delaware Valley. So wherever you live, they'll somebody's going to be nearby. They'll be able to take care of you. So Rothman Orthopedics, specialized in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
Yes. All right. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast here on this Wednesday night, the season opener. The Sixers drop it 124-109. It's okay. We know they missed their other two stars. They'll get them back sooner, hopefully sooner rather than later. Paul George said on his podcast.
That should have been the thumbnail. It's okay.
It's okay.
It was bad,
okay.
but it's okay.
It's okay. Paul George did say on his podcast that he hopes to be back sooner rather than later. And I think the Sixer fans would welcome that.
Sure.
As long as he's good, his knee is feeling fine, they will welcome him in that lineup because they sorely missed him tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. I can't wait to see both teams play against each other at full strength because I think this will be a really, really good matchup between these two teams.
I feel like the Bucks never get the Sixers at full strength. I think they played them twice last year during that non-Joel stretch, and they hammered them.
Yes,
both
they
times.
did.
Even though the Bucks were not playing
did.
that well last year, and were a team that, frankly, like really underachieved last year. They smoked them. Yeah, that would be nice. I'm curious what you think. What do you think of Paul George's podcast? Have you listened to it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
I like how he goes about it, and of course he can get anybody on his podcast. But the chemistry that he has with his two co-hosts, I think it's very good. I like the pace of it. I like the questions that they ask, and I just like how they approach it overall. I think he does a pretty good job. I never saw him as a podcaster, but I think he does a good job.
I think it's very well done. I think the episode this year when he talked about leaving Los Angeles, and it was
Is this the one with his father?
Huh?
Is that the one with his father?
No, it was just the one where he was talking about, the back and forth with the Clippers and when they
negotiations.
Like what type of money they offered him, why he decided to leave, all of those things. I thought that was really good and really well done. I do wonder though if the Paul George experience doesn't go over quite as well. Like, will that get old for people in Philadelphia? I don't know.
Podcasting?
I could see somebody some segment of the fan base turning on him.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, quickly.
Calling him a podcaster.
Yeah, anyway. Quickly. Even though he started it way before he got here. Yes, very quickly.
Paul,
can sour.
Just play well, okay?
That's it. That's all you have to do. Let's get to our super chats because we do have a few. Let's get to Devon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats. What up, Devon? I agree with Richard Jefferson, who was doing the broadcast for ESPN. Came out of the game more confident in the supporting cast around Embiid than before. Your thoughts, Rich?
I'm not sure if I'm more confident, but I'm not less confident either, too.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is a team, because like last year was the perfect example of that. They fit, even though they were shopping in the bargain bin for all these players, they found a bunch of guys that fit really well around Joel and around Maxey, and guys that Nick Nurse figured out roles for. But man, like when one of those two guys was out of the lineup, it just felt like they were supporting pieces that just could not pick up the slack. And, unlike some of the past years when they had Harden and he could just, okay, Joel's out of the game. Like he could just have a vintage Harden game where he could just, score 36 points and make a bunch of step back threes, all that stuff. I do think that this team is along those lines. Like when they are missing, let's say two of the big three and maybe two of the big three. And one of those guys is Joel. They're going to be in some serious trouble. Yeah. But I thought they all did some good things. And I think the hope is, obviously, when you get Joel back, when you get PG back, Yabu's hustle, that ends up being, like something that's additive in Joel scoring 30 points. A guy like Caleb Martin, right? You
already see the value.
We saw Caleb Martin take a couple threes off the dribble. They're just shots he would not take.
And it's not his fault.
Yeah.
But, not.
But you could see the idea of, if he's the fifth starter, and you got your three big guns going, like that dude's going to be a super helpful player. So maybe I am, Devon. Maybe I am being talked into that when all three of these guys are healthy and ready to go, that these supporting pieces actually might fit pretty good.
I agree. Nothing changed. Rich Jefferson, of course, seeing it for the first time like we all saw it in the regular season, he's right. Nothing changed because we liked the offseason as it was. They did nothing. They were all out of place. They were all a step up in their roles. Unfortunately, especially when Tyrese Maxey could not get it going, you're asking Caleb Martin to put the ball on the floor and take step back threes. You're asking him to do so leaning in from the three-point line, trying to knock down a three-pointer while he's leaning in and going this way to try to beat a shot clock. So there were a lot of things that we saw there that were frustrating, but that will change when those two are on the floor and all three of your all-stars are together. So I agree with you, Devon. It's not a big deal. Michael B. checking in, and thanks again, Devon, for the super chat. Michael B. also checking in with the super chat. Hey, just quickly talking about Paying a two-part bet, neither of which I have lost yet. What's up, Tim?
Yeah, what's going on there? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's part of the bet, saying what's up, Tim.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could be.
When Kyle checks in, see if you can ask him what Joel shot from the field tonight.
You know what, Michael, for the super chat, we will ask him that, even though we know the answer.
What did he shoot? I don't know. Maybe he has some pregame work in where he got some shots off, right?
What did he shoot in Crocs tonight?
That's a great point. That's a great point. Or what else does he wear? The Uggs. Yeah.
He wears Uggs too?
Yeah. He wears Uggs
okay.
more than anything. Skechers on the court, Uggs with everything else.
Skechers on the court.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. All right. Let's get to another positive that we did see, and that is one of our features for our post-game shows throughout the season, not just home, but road games as well. We've done it in the preseason. We're going to do it in the regular season. That is the player of the game, and we agreed on this one. It changed a few times, but we got to the point where, you know what? This guy was the player of the game. Kyle Lowry, player of the game tonight. Why did you want to lean more? We were looking at Yabusele. We were looking at Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin had the lead. Yabusele took it. And at some point, Rich was like, you know what? Let's talk about Kyle Lowry. Your thoughts overall. 13 points, 3 for 5 from 3. Bailed him out a few times on those threes as the ball swung to him. Played 24 minutes and 12 seconds. And he had 6 assists, which was a team best, and only turned the ball over 0 times tonight out there on the floor. So your thoughts of the player of the game.
As Winona said, he did Lowry things. And really, like, let's be honest, slim pickings tonight, like we could have went with
So before you say, what?
Who was the player of the game?
Who was the player of the game?
I mean, if it was a national podcast, Giannis or Dame would have been the player of the game. But we're only picking Sixers. And I just thought, I thought his...
At least for game one, we're picking Sixers. We weren't going to give it to a Buck on game one. We just weren't doing that.
I thought his energy was good. I thought, he was just doing Lowry stuff. He was annoying. He was falling down on charges and getting free throws. I think at one point he forced Brook Lopez into a 3-second violation because Brook Lopez just really couldn't post him up, man. He's still strong as hell, man. He's tough. Yeah. So honestly, slim pickings tonight, but I thought Kyle, he's probably not going to win player of the game a lot. He's going to be down in the rotation, but it's something that our Kyle Neubeck has brought up. When they don't have Joel and they don't have PG, Lowry might become more important because they're just so starved for shot creation. Yeah, I know they have Oubre, but you're not getting a lot of playmaking with Kelly. I thought Kelly was, again, he played hard, but it was like an up and down game for him. You might need to get Kyle on the floor. And as Kyle, I believe, wrote in his post-game observations, that's not like the greatest place to be in when you're super reliant on a million-year-old Kyle Lowry. But that's where we're at right now. And I thought he played pretty well.
And the value in him is you see this type of performance. And when his role is lessened in terms of minutes and he's out there not having to be in that spot, you see the value in what he does out there on the floor for Nick Nurse's team. And don't worry, he's not going to be playing 24 minutes if you're concerned about Nick Nurse leaning too much on Kyle Lowry. He had to tonight. You saw how Maxey struggled to get into his things going and to get the team going. Tried to give him something else to run with in the backcourt to help him out, and that's what Kyle Lowry did tonight. So Kyle Lowry, our first player of the game for the regular season, for his job tonight. We'll get to a lot more. Some of our other things. We'll check in with the guys from the arena when we come back right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. All right, let's start off with our good friends from, Blue Chew. It's a rough night. It's a tough night. Your loved one is like, you know what? Hey, I understand you're frustrated, right? They know how much you love sports. They say, you know what? Let's have a much better night. It's a great Wednesday night. You were excited about the season, but you're a little disappointed. Well, you know what? You know how you relieve some of that stress and just feel a lot better for the night? Winona, check out for a second because we have to talk about our good friends from Blue Chew. They say first impressions are important, The Sixers didn't leave a good first impression, but you could leave a lasting impression tonight with your Blue Chew. That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew helps boost your confidence in the bedroom so you can stay ready and perform at your very best. They say those important, lasting impressions are great. Does Blue Chew work? Well, if you have to ask that question, we want you to know that Blue Chew is putting their money where their mouth is by giving you a month free. Free is always good, especially in this particular case. Free is good. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in a chewable form. So if you have a problem there, chewable, that works for you. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever the opportunity arises. As you saw the game playing out, you said, you know what? I'm going to need to calm down tonight. You could have taken this Blue Chew in the third quarter and been ready to cut that television off when the clock hit 0, and then you get going. Absolutely. And again, for our listeners here on the show, you get a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code ALLCITY at checkout. Just pay the $5 shipping. That's it. That's BlueChew.com, promo code ALLCITY to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast.
Well done. I am here to talk about Golden Nugget Jewelers. And, while the Sixers are hunting down a ring, and it might be a little while till they're actually hunting down a ring. We got a full season,
couple of months,
but you can do that too. Golden Nugget Jewelers is located on Chestnut and 8th in downtown Philly, where all the other ring places are. But go to Golden Nugget Jewelers. They are family owned and operated since 1987. Getting engaged, they have a wide assortment of rings and wedding bands to fit anyone's style. You can receive a final cleaning and written appraisal with every engagement ring purpose. And Devon, they don't just have wedding jewelry. I know it says Golden Nugget Jewelers, but they got more than that. You can find watches.
I like a nice watch.
Sure. Diamond necklaces, diamond bracelets, earrings, and more. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Head over to goldennuggetjewelers.com to learn more.
All right, welcome back, Winona. She says she's back. Thank you, Winona. We have to always alert Winona when we give these weird types of reads and stuff because it makes her uncomfortable. So,
okay,
we step away.
That's fair.
we give her a hey, come back in about 60 seconds because we got you covered. Also, we got
spoiler alert.
Spoiler, and I used the wrong word there to say it. But hey, it's 10, 11, 15 at night. We're all good. All right, let's go to another super chat because of our Blue Chew read. We got to get one from here real time. We got to read it. Thank you for checking in. Real Time says, who wins Blue Chew's bonehead play of the game?
Well, I think that actually leads into our
let's do it.
Our segment, right?
Let's do it. Let's go. Strong and wrong. Thank you for leading us into it. Real Time, leading in. Strong and wrong. A new feature on the postgame show here. Strong and wrong. Possession in the second quarter that had all of us saying, no. That's not the right one. That's not it. Good play. That's not it. The strong were the 2 offensive rebounds that the 76ers got on the possession in the second quarter. The wrong, as I have it here in the notes, strong and wrong.
Was all those threes they missed?
Yes, it was. Here's the sequence of how it went for the strong and wrong. Yabusele, a 3-pointer from the corner. No, from the top of the key. Offensive rebound. Drummond, 3-pointer from the corner. And each time we're like, that's not it. Good offensive rebound. Good pass. That's not it. And then Drummond gets the ball, streaking along the baseline, receives the pass, tries to go up for the flush, blocked by Brook Lopez. They wanted to challenge it. The Sixers did.
The Bucks did.
The Bucks did. Because they called a foul. Instead, it was a blocked shot. And we were like, yeah, that looked pretty clean. The whole sequence was all out of whack.
And then they called the offensive foul.
And then they called the offensive foul on Drummond for extending the offhand while trying to finish the dunk. That is our strong and wrong sequence of the game tonight. Thank you, Real Time, for leading us in for the bonehead play of the game. Maybe Blue Chew wants to sponsor Strong and Wrong.
Sure. You know, you know who's strong and wrong during that sequence?
Who was that?
Andre Drummond. He was strong as hell with that
Yes,
three-pointer.
Yes, he was.
Andre Drummond's stretch five wasn't like a banner night for that. He had another possession where I think he shot like a 16-footer. I can tell you right now, Devon, an Andre Drummond 16-footer, that's a bad possession. I don't care if the ball goes in the basket. It's probably not going to go in the basket. That is the offense being out of sorts and not executing. That was an absolutely hilarious possession. And that's the thing with Andre Drummond, man. I've said this. I dig Drum. What did he?
We're big fans of Andre Drummond on the show.
I didn't even think he was.
I even think Andre Drummond will have fun with stuff like that because you've seen him in the past talk about things, laugh at himself. So that was a fun one.
13 boards for him tonight in only 25 minutes.
We did hit the 13 boards.
Yes,
we did. With our Bet365 pregame bets.
But he's going to do one thing per game that's going to make you laugh. Just one blooper that's going to make you laugh. Whether he's throwing the ball into the third row, he takes 5 steps with the ball, and now he's even adding more versatility where he's a little long with his 3-pointers. Anyway, that was a very funny possession, and yes, they were strong and wrong. But again, I think that was that's the game encapsulated, right? They kept getting offensive rebounds. They were winning the possession battle. But if you can't put the ball in the hole, it doesn't really matter.
But guess what? When Embiid is out, and let's say it is Tyrese Maxey and Paul George out there together, you already saw the value of who Andre Drummond is. There was only so much he can do in a game like this.
Yeah.
So when you do have Paul George, which is another shot creator, a guy who can give you 20 to 25 in the absence of Embiid, along with taking some of the pressure off of Tyrese Maxey, you'll see where, again, the value is there for Andre Drummond.
Another guy who can make threes off the dribble too, right? That can pull that Brook Lopez out to the 3-point line and then create driving lanes and passing lanes.
Mm-hmm.
One quick thing that I wish they would have done more with Maxey tonight, I really wish they would have hunted Dame better. They tried to a couple times where they run that drag screen where the first guy is the first screener is Dame's defender, and then hopefully you get the switch and then you're into a second pick and roll with Dame trying to chase Tyrese Maxey. Felt like Gary Trent did a good job.
He did a good job tonight
sticking with Maxey, but they need to be more intentional about hunting that matchup because
I'll say this too, because when he was with the Toronto Raptors last 2 seasons, I believe it was, after the trade from Portland going to the Toronto Raptors, last season that team was so bad you could kind of tell that he just, at least from afar, he just wasn't into it and being in that situation. Now he's in this situation where he's going to be in a competing team in the Eastern Conference that has won already, and he's surrounded by some all-stars, some really good players, has a good coach in Doc Rivers. For whatever we want to say about him, they do have a good coach. That said, he did a really good job tonight. And there were times with the Toronto Raptors where he did keep up with Tyrese Maxey individually, trying to keep up with him speed-wise and cut off those driving lanes, those angles for Maxey. And Gary Trent did a decent job, and you mentioned it, to get him at the last minute. We were talking about him. Hey, can they get this guy on a minimum so late in free agency? Because he's probably disappointed with where he is and he wants to play for a contender. There's a spot there for him to maybe start here next to Tyrese Maxey. He chose the Milwaukee Bucks. Good for him. He got off to a really good start tonight, knocked down some shots and played some really good defense and frustrating Tyrese Maxey. And Tyrese Maxey got frustrated. You can see that on his face, his body language. He did get frustrated. He complained to the officials like he did last season. Maybe that would change as the season goes along, but tonight he was definitely frustrated by the lack of calls.
Eric Gordon did not have a good night.
He did not. I wonder how that may change, how long the experiment goes where they decide, okay, we have to change this.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so, right? I mean, he can't play like that. I mean, if you can stick Dame Lillard on him and just let Dame hide, like I don't really know what good Eric Gordon is doing for you. So yeah, he was rough tonight. Yeah, he struggled.
Yep, absolutely. Some more super chats that we have in here. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Tonight we get to Devon, another super chat. Looks like a lot of stars played like scrubs tonight. We haven't really had a chance to look at the rest of the association to see what the others did. I just saw that Charlotte won tonight on the road. I believe the Charlotte Hornets played the Houston Rockets, who we thought were going to be the surprise team out west. Thought they would be really good. And it's just the opening night.
They still might be.
Yeah. But I'll pat myself on the back because, Bree, this may be the only time I can pat myself on the back. I said a sleeper team might be the Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, man.
Because of Charles Lee.
That's like a dead asleep team.
The respect that Charles Lee has around the league as a young coach.
Yeah,
with him, Brandon Miller, maybe taking that next step. Having veterans on the team that are unselfish, like a young veteran like Josh Green from Dallas, who can just fill his role, knows who he is. And even Grant Williams, he's an annoying kind of guy, but he can be annoying for the opposition too for what he does.
He's a professional basketball player.
So he's a professional basketball player that can defend, knock down some shots. Haven't looked at the stat line to see what LaMelo Ball did or any of the others.
34.
34?
Yeah, LaMelo 34. Trey Mann 24.
Nice off the bench, Trey Mann.
Yeah, that's Trey
Go
Mann.
ahead, JC. My man JC was his trainer for the draft and getting him ready for the draft and keeping up with him in the pros. Go ahead, JC. One of you guys shining on opening night. So good stuff for Trey Mann. Super chat for Michael B. Sorry, guys. Couldn't ask Kyle who had more field goals tonight, a Boner or a Joel Embiid.
Well, make sure to ask him.
Where the rim shots at, man? Where the rim shots for Michael B tonight?
Do you remember Gary Trent, too, during that Sixers-Raptors playoff series a few years ago? That man was the sickest individual ever. Like, he was playing, and he was just...
It was like he was questionable for the game every game.
And you could just see it in his face.
Yeah.
Like, he was just...
Food poisoning.
He was collecting cardio. Honestly, it was kind of heroic that he actually played. But that was an example of, he probably shouldn't have been out there.
Shouldn't have been out there. Yeah. Nah, he shouldn't have been out there for that one. All right, we appreciate the super chats from everybody. Mr. Sandman checking in here. DJ, a.k.a. Mr. Sandman, saying, I was hoping Maxey could take over games like Allen Iverson and Damian Lillard. Don't know if he's wired like that. No, we've seen it. We've seen it. Tonight, Milwaukee did a really good job of not allowing that to happen. And when you do not have the others in Joel or Paul George, let's just not say both together, just one of them, it's going to be tough because he forced some shots. He was good on some possessions, but overall, he was more bad than good. And I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll be better. I think he'll be better against the Toronto Raptors on Friday night. He'll be fine. Sandman, he'll be fine.
I'm not worried about his mentality. I'm more worried about his execution, right? Like, I don't think he played a super smart game tonight in terms of shot selection and, figuring out ways to not only draw fouls, but like create driving lanes, whether that's off the ball or in pick and roll. It just did not feel like he was not ruthless in hunting Dame as well. Just felt like there are a lot of teachable moments, but I'm not worried about his mentality.
Rich, when he realized he wasn't getting those calls, the thing that we've all 4 of us, 5 of us, Bree included, we've all talked about how, hey, man, pull up. Take that mid-range jumper. Maybe that'll open up your 3-point step-back shot. Maybe that'll open up your driving lane. Pull up. Pull up and get that.
It's a good point, and it feels like he does not take too many middies that are in rhythm. When he takes them, they're, after the guy has already fought back in front of him, and it's kind of a last resort where he's, he's reverse pivoting and shooting a fadeaway. You don't usually see him shoot those rhythm mid-range jumpers like you often see him shoot from 3, right? Like when he gets space from 3, sometimes he does step into those shots, and they're good-looking shots. But yeah, I don't know. He needs a few different pitches, and
I think he could have mixed that in tonight to make it easier on himself for some of those shots. Maybe it would have opened up not only the shot from 3 or even the driving lane, setting up his teammates. Once you make those mid-range jump shots and they have to decide how they want to do it, or again, the coaching staff decides they want to implement the pick and pop with Yabusele inside the 3-point line, he knocks down some of those shots. Now, Caleb Martin cutting baseline or Kelly Oubre cutting baseline is an easier path. The vision is there to drop the ball off to them for a finish right there at the rim. Get on a run, close the gap, get in under single digits, and now you have yourself within the ball game. Your defensive intensity picks up, and you find, again, a situation where you could be right back into it. Michael B is just throwing money at us tonight because of how Joel is not playing. Who of the following had more field goals tonight? Me, Devon, Rich, or Joel? Oh, man, you're just not going to let this Joel thing go of him not playing this first week.
I took a couple Papa Shot shots, but, I don't know if those count.
Bree got some Papa shots up. You got some shots up. So I would say, Mike, depending on how many shots Joel got pregame, if at all, I would say Rich got more shots.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I would.
That's the state of affairs for tonight, guys.
All right. We also want to make sure that we ask everybody to sign up for the Die Hard program. Become a member of our Die Hard program. Not only do you get the post-game quick reaction, instant reaction from Kyle Neubeck following the Sixers 124-109 loss to the Milwaukee Bucks for the season opener, you do get a great price to go along with it. Now $48.
$48
when you sign up for the first year of our limited time intro offer of $48 to become a Die Hard member. You get exclusive access to the ALLPHLY.com articles from all of our great writers, including Rich Hofmann with his daily newsletter, the Eagles coverage from Zach Berman, Bo Wolf, Fran Duffy, Les Bowen, some Eagles thoughts from Rich. You go to the Phillies with Jim Salisbury. Charlie O'Connor pumps out some articles all the time for the Flyers, who also played tonight. You go and sign up to become a member of the Die Hard program, to join the community. Welcome in, $48. You can't beat that price. Sign up to become a Die Hard member right now and enjoy all of it. And you can go read, again, Kyle Neubeck tonight with his instant observations, his good, bad, the ugly. Don't forget about Derek Bodner and his thoughts from the game tonight.
And we'll see. In a couple weeks, maybe I get back into the film breakdown game if we can figure that out. And that will be behind the Die Hard.
Only Die Hard members will be able to get that taken care of right there on the Die Hard, all PHLY Die Hard website, all PHLY.com website. Derek Bodner just said the pressers just ended. Wow.
It's about time.
Man, some
Joel was not playing tonight. What's going on?
They had to get everybody up to the podium. 2 at a time. Get up there, sit on the podium. All right, we also had another fun one that we wanted to actually know. We're about to check in with the guys in just a second, so we want to save our last fun one of the night.
Sure.
And we'll save that one after we talk to the guys. But the Milwaukee Bucks pick up the win around the association quickly. Some of the final scores before we get to the fellas. Once they do check in, we'll have them for you. The Indiana Pacers defeated Tobias Harris and the Detroit Pistons 115-109. I don't know what his stat line looks like. I'm just saying that it's his squad. Right, the Atlanta Hawks defeated the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know what Ben Simmons did there.
Really ugly foul by Nick Claxton in that game. I did see that.
He fouled someone else?
Yeah, flagrant too.
Oh, okay.
Dyson Daniels, I think it was.
He can get a little
yeah, we've seen that.
Frustrated sometimes. Orlando defeated Miami, and Cleveland thumped the Sixers' next opponent, the Toronto Raptors. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but let's head to the center.
Tobias, wait, real quick. Tobias Harris, because everybody wants to know. 6 of 13, 13 points, -11.
Yeah, 9 points in the first half.
Better than his last game, though.
Very true.
That big old goose egg.
Very true. Very true. Let's head to the center to get the thoughts of Tobias Harris's performance tonight for the Detroit Pistons. Kyle Neubeck, Derek Bodner. I don't want to go there. Let's
leave Tobias alone for one night.
Tobias alone. We have our own problems.
I was going to say, Rich, you said in case anybody wanted to know. I don't think anybody wanted to know about Tobias Harris in Philadelphia until that very moment. So
there we go. Now we can hear him.
Can you repeat that, Kyle, for us? I'm sorry.
I said, Rich, I don't think anybody wanted to know about Tobias Harris. So thank you for bringing that up for everyone who did not want to hear that. The customary, let's focus on some other bad
Everybody
stuff.
wanted to hear it, Kyle. He's not in Philadelphia anymore. It's a reminder that he's not on the team. That's all. Anyway, we're talking about Tobias Harris now because that game did not offer us a lot of positives. I guess just biggest takeaways, whether it's from the pressers or just from the game. What do you guys make of that one?
Well, it's going to be hard to win games without your two veteran stars. That would be my conclusion. And that you're not going to win many games where Tyrese Maxey shoots Halloween from the field. So that's not exactly a successful formula. I mean, being serious, I think it's a lot of what we saw toward the tail end of last year, right? Where when you task Tyrese with being the sun and the stars, that's a lot tougher than when you can play off of, even with Paul George, right? Like, I think Paul George in this game makes a huge difference in that you can move Tyrese off the ball some more, get him in some different types of actions instead of throwing him against these hedges and traps and like every action that they put him in. They're top blocking him, they're face guarding him, they're throwing the kitchen sink at him. And he admitted after the game, said to us, look, I think I rushed it a lot tonight. There were times when I just tried to play at a pace that was too fast. And Nick Nurse noted, and Tyrese agreed with this, said that there were, with the way Lopez played at the rim and with the size he offers there, some of it is like Tyrese is going to have to get into his mid-range game a little bit and, draw him away from the paint with something other than, if you beat that first wave of defense and Lopez is waiting back there, rely on the floater, rely on the runner, rely on the mid-range pull-up. So I think we're going to need to see some more diversity from him. Nick Nurse thinks he should get some more calls as well, although, I'm less crying about the refs after game one than other people will be.
And Derek, it was something that we did talk about with those mid-range shots, just because of that very point that Kyle alluded to, because if he's able to maybe get Gary Trent on his hip, because we pointed out that Trent did a pretty decent job tonight on him, part of it because of Maxey getting outside of himself a little frustrated, but had he maybe pulled up at the free throw line, got him on his hip, did some things that we saw where we talk about the Jalen Brunson or the Damian Lillard foul drawing, that it maybe opened up some other things, not only for himself, but also his teammates.
Sort of like a perfect storm, because, to Kyle's point, we saw, gosh, I'm doing that way too much lately. We saw a little bit last year with Joel out that, he can struggle when, not only when Joel's out, but when his second highest usage offensive player is Kelly Oubre. No shade intended towards Kelly, but he should not be the second highest usage player on offense. I think the combination of him and Martin in the starting lineup did not have good spacing to start the game. And then you have an opponent in Milwaukee who can be really aggressive against him on the perimeter and still have Brook on the back line of defense. And then Kelly, and then Tyrese, to sort of top it all off, got ultra aggressive. Seemed like the lack of fouls was impacting him, and tried to sort of prove, and he talked about this during post-game, tried to prove that he could finish near the rim. And it all just sort of perfect stormed into a really tough night for Tyrese in a game where you needed Tyrese to be incredible. It is game one of 82. It's not a huge deal. Hopefully there aren't too many games when both Joel Embiid and Paul George miss, because then it can start to look a little bit like last year. We watched that show for, 43 games without Joel Embiid. Hopefully you have more help. But, I think it was a combination. It was a bad matchup. He didn't have any help around him, and he missed some shots. And I think he had some good shots that he would like back as well.
Did Nurse say anything about the defense? I mean, it seemed pretty straightforward to me that the Bucks, they were sticking Giannis at the elbow. They were running those ball screens basically at half court for Dame, and the Sixers really had no answer for that. And some of that is just that the Bucks, when they're healthy, like, those guys are super skilled. Did he say that they could have done anything better in any area, or was it just kind of like one of those nights?
No, I think the running theme, not just from Nurse, but most of this place is such a word I won't say, by the way. It's chaos. We'll put it that way.
Family friendly. I like it.
The running theme was they weren't too dissatisfied with the way they played on defense. And certainly there's some stuff that they need to clean up. But given that they have all these new additions and they're playing Yabu at the 5 and this and that, it's like there's only so much you can do. I would say if I'm scouting it, I do think there were a few too many Kelly Oubre head in the clouds moments. And when he's one of your big minute guys, that certainly doesn't help. I am curious over time what's going to happen with if you have to play Lowry more, which we already saw Nick Nurse was like, spam some more Lowry next to Maxey and spam Lowry probably more than you want to play him. What are the consequences when you play a big team like this, right? Because I think this was a game where I really felt it's like, okay, Yabu having to play the 5 and then the downstream impact of there when you're having to deal with Giannis and Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis to a lesser extent on the offensive glass and just like in and around the paint. It just has so many it's a domino effect elsewhere, right? You end up in scramble mode a lot. You're not in a set defense all the time. To me, and I know this has been like my bit for the whole offseason, but they just felt much smaller than that team that they played tonight. And I thought that was a pretty big deal.
We saw, speaking of Yabusele, some 4, a lot of 5, mostly 5. What were your thoughts on how he handled himself in his first game, regular season game?
Yeah, I thought he was okay. I thought he was pretty good. There were certainly moments, I feel like, in the second quarter when they had Drummond out and the Bucks had Giannis and Lopez in. I thought they had a brief struggle on the glass, but for the most part, I thought they controlled the glass better than I would have expected, giving the size advantage. He continues to look okay shooting from perimeter. I still will continue to wish he had a bit of a quicker trigger above the break. He seems way more comfortable from the corners, but right now that's okay. No, I think, and he's getting in there. He's diving on the floor. He's playing hard and playing physical. I have really no problems with Yabusele's play. Then again, there were so many people that you were disappointed in tonight that certainly the bar was not all that high. But no, I think he's made a pretty good first impression. Like I said, I like to see a little bit quicker trigger on the release. Certainly a little more willingness to let it fly from above the break. But for the most part, if he is going to do the dirty work and continue to shoot from 3, maybe play a little pick and pop game, I think he has been okay so far.
Well, I mean, Kyle Lowry was our player of the game, so really it was kind of it wasn't like
not a good sign, and that's no disrespect to Kyle Lowry, but when a
wasn't a
30-year-old backup
that we were choosing from. Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you. So were they at least happy? Like, I did think one of the positives is how, and Derek kind of just mentioned it, is that they did rebound the ball pretty well, and it did look like, again, it's one of those games you look at the box score, 18 more shots than the Bucks, with the free throws being almost even now. Of course, like when they're making every shot and you're not running good offense, that doesn't matter quite as much. Do you guys think that that's something that can at least be maybe transferable for the next, I mean, obviously 81 games, but at least early on here as they're trying to get their footing without Joel and Tyrese?
Yeah, I would say I think the beginning was and ended up being a little unsustainably good, because I thought Giannis was just like,
yeah,
the season has not started for me yet in the first 5-6 minutes of that game. Now, that being said, I do think some of that is probably you come into this game, and historically the Sixers have not been a very good rebounding team. And the scout, even though it's, Drummond is there and there's some changes, is like, well, they probably won't be overzealous and we don't have to necessarily be on like full alert at all times. And I think the Sixers did a good job of capitalizing on that. And, between Caleb and KJ and Drum and even further down the list with like Ricky and guys like that, they definitely have the athletes and the guys with that type of skill set, right? Where if you give them space and a runway to get in there, they are going to punish you. In fact, I thought Drummond probably left 3 or 4 not like slam dunk offensive rebound opportunities tonight, but plays where he like got hands on balls and was in a favorable spot against. There was one where it's like him and Dame Lillard were next to each other that I was stunned he didn't get his hands on it and turn that into an extra 2. So I would even say, as good as they were at times tonight, they're still more advantages to take, and I think that bodes well, right? Like we think this can be more of a strength this year, and I think that's one of the main benefits of how they've reshaped this roster, where you just do have more athleticism on the wing, and that's going to make a big difference.
Well, fellas, they get a chance to erase this losing feeling, with an opportunity to pick up a W on Friday night in Toronto. Game 7:00, so we'll have our pregame.
They better
coverage.
beat those bozos. They just lost by 30 to the Cavs tonight.
30.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was not good. Not good. Fellas, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Be safe getting home. We'll talk to you on Friday ahead of the Raptors-Sixers game 2. Thanks, guys.
Don't worry. Derek and I are about to try to hurdle over all the debris that apparently the Wells Fargo Center employees are lugging around the bowels of the arena right now.
Great.
So any last words, Derek, before we navigate the concrete jungle out there?
We'll make it. I got confidence in you, Kyle. We'll be good.
Until the next life, brothers.
Be careful. See you guys.
I'm picturing the first scene of Saving Private Ryan right now. Yeah.
Oh, man. You a fraud in the chat says, by the way, again, we appreciate Kyle and Derek joining us. Make sure you read their stuff at allphly.com for their post-game coverage. You a fraud in the chat says, Can we just get a new expansion NBA Philadelphia team to believe in? Game 1, Rich.
Game 1.
Game 1.
Come on.
Game 1. Oh, that's why I love it here, man. I love Philadelphia. It's the best. I absolutely love it.
It is the best.
It is the best. All right, let's get to our final post-game little segment here of the night. The what the moment of the night. We had the Marcus Morris moments of the night. He's no longer here. Those were positive. These are more of positives and negatives. Tonight it's a negative. Positive for you, negative for Giannis. What the?
That man loves giving the people of Philadelphia some free chicken. He loves it. It was on that same hoop with that gigantic ladder,
yes,
and Montrezl Harrell coming out, taking the balls from him.
Standing up for the employees at the center, right?
He almost gave him 3. I don't even know what level 3 is. Is level 3?
I think it's 12.
Meal?
It's 12.
Oh, 12.
Yeah,
right.
it's 12.
Yeah.
So he gave all of the, if you're not aware and you did not hear it, all of the Sixer fans get the 8 free nuggets if you have their app. We can't tell you who it is. You know who it is. It's the chicken. You get 8 free nuggets on your app tomorrow following a game day because Giannis missed 4 free throws, 2 consecutive trips, and he almost gave you 12 because he split a pair. He missed in the first one, made the second.
Look, even when Giannis kicks your butt, he's going to give you some free chicken.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Oh, yes, he is.
By the way, when he misses a free throw, it's like,
it's bad.
I feel bad for the rim. Like,
oh, my gosh.
That hurt.
Yeah, what was the one that the Sixers had where it was also one that was really, it was a brick.
Which one?
Who was it?
The one last year, was it actually Caleb Martin? Remember the playing game against the Heat?
It was Caleb Martin.
It completely turned on a brick in for chicken. I don't want to say the place, but
just log. It's whew. Giannis, anytime he's in town, he's gonna feed you. He feeds families, man.
That man feeds families.
He feeds families. All right, let's go around the NBA quickly here, Rich, before we get out of here and say goodbye to the people. By the way, you now know some of our post-game stuff. The what the. So if you see some candidates in there during the game and you want to send it to us in our Twitter accounts or our team account at PHLY_Sixers, send it our way, and maybe it's a candidate for the post-game coverage. So it's the player of the game, what the, and the strong and wrong of the night for the Philadelphia 76ers or the opponent. So let us know during the game, each game of the regular season. Let's go around the league, Rich. Should we, real quick? As we talked about already, Indiana won. Orlando defeated Miami 116-97. Orlando, right out of the gate, letting everybody know, putting them on notice, man. We're here. Cleveland up by 30, defeating the Raptors 136-106. That's the Sixers' opponent in Toronto for their game on Friday. That's the
Toronto, by the way.
Really bad. What's their direction? Scotty Barnes and Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett?
Ujiri has been washed for like 3 or 4 years.
He's living off that championship.
It's unbelievable. Man, they're expensive too. Like, it's one thing to be bad.
He paid Barnes all that money.
Is Quickly making what, 30+ mil?
He got like 150, something like that. Quickly? He's not Jalen Suggs.
Like RJ Barrett too?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Scotty Barnes tonight, 3 for 14 for 9 points. Their leading scorer was 18 for Chris Boucher off the bench. Emmanuel Quickly, 14 minutes. I don't know if he got hurt or not, but Quickly only 14 minutes. He must have gotten hurt. 13 points because he wasn't in foul trouble. Hope he's cool. RJ Barrett did not play. That Raptors team is going to be rough to watch this season. So the Sixers better beat that team.
They better get them in their annual second game of the year.
Yeah, you better beat that team because you have Indiana on Sunday. Also, Charlotte, 110-105. We talked about that. LaMelo Ball with 36. And Chicago defeated New Orleans in New Orleans. Looks like DeJounte Murray, according to reports, might have a fractured hand, and he's going to miss some time.
Pels won that game, I think.
Final here on ESPN has 81,
ESPN has it different from
Okay. Yeah. Well, we don't know what happened.
But DeJounte Murray got hurt, though. That
broken hand.
That definitely happened.
Broken hand. So
that's bad.
That's that. Memphis right now, 2-point lead over the Jazz, 126-124 with 4 seconds to play. And Phoenix Clippers in the Intuit Dome, the new spot, $55.54.
I saw parking was $70 for the Intuit.
I was talking to one of my people in LA last night, and they were like, yeah, I'm not dealing with that thing.
With the dome?
Yeah, just the parking where it is. And
in Inglewood,
Yeah, just like, nah. Yeah. Not that it's Inglewood is a problem. It's just all the traffic. That's
it's so spread out depending on where they live. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't know what the parking situation is. They were just like, nah.
I used to have to budget a ton of time to get to Staples, which is downtown. If you're staying in like Santa Monica or like by LAX, which is where I would stay a lot of time because that's close to like Manhattan Beach. Whew, yeah, it's far. That LA traffic is no joke.
Was the 405?
Yeah.
Man.
Speaking of LA, JJ Redick, nice debut.
Very good.
Seemed like Lakers were very well prepared, and look, it's just one game. Obviously, the Timberwolves are.
But the first impression was very good.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, first impression was very good. Portland, they're also going to be a bad team. Golden State up 83-63 midway through the third right now in Portland.
There's going to be motivated bad teams this year too, with Cooper Flagg and Ace Bailey at the top of the draft.
You got to go to some Rutgers games with us.
Sure.
Oh man, we're going. Want to see those two?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to see those
Dylan Harper's that a kid's name? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yep.
That's cool, man. That Rutgers has
we're
two
make our
freshmen.
way. It's not a long drive. Yeah. It's not a bad drive.
Piscataway.
We'll be all right. We'll be all right. And you know what? The Sixers are going to be all right. They're going to be all right. Everybody. They're going to be all right. Game 1, not so good. They get a chance to bounce back on Friday night in Toronto against the Raptors. We'll have our pregame coverage beginning at 6:30. I'm off, so I won't be here. I'll be back on Sunday for the Indiana Pacers game, but I am off on Friday, back on Sunday. Kyle and Derek will have you covered on Friday, so make sure you tune in 6:30 for the pregame coverage here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. For Derek and Kyle and Rich and Bree, I'm Devon. Bree, you want to run some roll call quickly here for everybody so we can get out of here? World famous roll call here on the first post-game night. We got to thank Michael B in there, 2-Minute Warner. What up, Al? Winona P, Kyle Wright asking, where is Kyle? Well, Kyle was at the game, so you got Rich and I, but we always appreciate you joining in and checking in with us, Kyle. We also had Gene Ross. What up, Gene? You a fraud. Well, I wouldn't say the Sixers are frauds, but they just had a bad night. Sid, what up, Sid? Appreciate you jumping in. Who else did we have in here tonight? Devon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats. We had Aaron. What up, Aaron? Noob, Money Mar. Who else did we see in there? I saw a few other people that we had so many people and we were running through the show. Yams, what up, Yams? We see you in there as well. Dennis Jones, Neil Deaver. What up? What up, Neil? Good to have you in here for the post game. Ryan Davis, William, so many others. Bootszilla, Boots. Bree, you're going to have to start saying that since that's your favorite. We got to get Boots. Say what's up to Boots. And everybody else, thank you so much. Like and subscribe. When you do, you'll get the alert. And that is the bell icon. And that'll let you know that it's 3 p.m. for the non-game day shows and or the pregame show as we get ready for a game day. Everybody have a great rest of your night. Enjoy your Thursday. Again, we will not be here back on Friday for the pregame against the Raptors. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk to you then. See ya.
See you, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.